Eurasia is the largest continental area on Earth, comprising all of Europe and Asia. Primarily in the northern and eastern hemispheres, it spans from the British Isles and the Iberian Peninsula in the west to the Japanese archipelago and the Russian Far East to the east. The continental landmass is bordered by the Atlantic Ocean and Africa to the west, the Pacific Ocean to the east, the Arctic Ocean to the north, and by Africa, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Indian Ocean to the south. The division between Europe and Asia as two continents is a historical social construct, as many of their borders are overland. Thus, in some parts of the world, Eurasia is recognized as the largest of the 6, 5, or 4 continents on Earth. In geology, Eurasia is often considered as a single rigid megablock. However, the rigidity of Eurasia is debated based on paleomagnetic data. Eurasia covers around 55 million square kilometers, Oregon around 36.2% of the Earth's total land area. It is also home to the largest country in the world, Russia. The landmass contains well over 5 billion people, equating to approximately 70% of the human population. Humans first settled in Eurasia between 60,000 and 125,000 years ago. Some major islands, including Great Britain, Iceland, Ireland, and Sri Lanka, and parts of Japan, the Philippines, and most of Indonesia, are often included in the popular definition of Eurasia, despite being separate from the contiguous landmass. According to some geographers, physiographically, Eurasia is a single continent. The concepts of Europe and Asia as distinct continents date back to antiquity, and their borders are geologically arbitrary and have historically been subjected to occasional change. Eurasia is connected to Africa at the Suez Canal, and Eurasia is sometimes combined with Africa to make the largest contiguous landmass on Earth, called Afro-Eurasia. Due to the vast landmass and differences in latitude, Eurasia exhibits all types of climates under the Köppen classification, including the harshest types of hot and cold temperatures, high and low precipitation, and various types of ecosystems. Origins. The Shanghai Five Group was created on April 26, 1996 with the signing of the Treaty on Deepening Military Trust in Border Regions in Shanghai by the heads of states of China, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan. On April 24, 1997 the same countries signed the Treaty on Reduction of Military Forces in Border Regions in a meeting in Moscow, Russia. On May 20, 1997 Russian President Boris Yeltsin and Chinese Communist Party General Secretary Jiang Zemin signed a declaration on a multipolar world. Subsequent annual summits of the Shanghai Five Group occurred in Almaty, Kazakhstan in 1998, in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan in 1999, and in Dushanbe, Tajikistan in 2000. At the Dushanbe summit, members agreed to oppose intervention in other countries' internal affairs on the pretexts of humanitarianism and protecting human rights, and support the efforts of one another in safeguarding the five countries' national independence, sovereignty, territorial integrity, and social stability. In 2001, the annual summit returned to Shanghai. There the five member nations first admitted Uzbekistan in the Shanghai Five mechanism. Then all six heads of state signed on June 15, 2001 the Declaration of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, praising the role played thus far by the Shanghai Five mechanism and aiming to transform it to a higher level of cooperation. In June 2002, the heads of the SCO member states met in St. Petersburg, Russia. There they signed the SCO Charter, which expounded on the organization's purposes, principles, structures, and forms of operation, and established it in international law. In July 2005, at the summit in Astana, Kazakhstan, with representatives of India, Iran, Mongolia, and Pakistan attending an SCO summit for the first time, Nursultan Nazarbayev, the president of the Kazakhstan, greeted the guests in words that had never been used before in any context. the leaders of the states sitting at this negotiation table are representatives of half of humanity. By 2007 the SCO had initiated over 20 large-scale projects related to transportation, energy, and telecommunications and held regular meetings of security, military, defense, foreign affairs, economic, cultural, banking, and other officials from its member states. In July 2015 in Ufa, Russia, the SCO decided to admit India and Pakistan as full members. Both signed the Memorandum of Obligations in June 2016 in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, thereby starting the formal process of joining the SCO as full members. On June 9, 2017, at a summit in Astana, India and Pakistan officially joined SCO as full members. The SCO has established relations with the United Nations in 2004, Commonwealth of Independent States in 2005, Association of Southeast Asian Nations in 2005, the Collective Security Treaty Organization in 2007, the Economic Cooperation Organization in 2007, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in 2011, the Conference on Interaction and Confidence-Building Measures in Asia in 2014, and the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific in 2015. SCO Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure has established relations with the African Union's African Center for the Study and Research on Terrorism in 2018. Organizational structure. The Council of Heads of State is the top decision-making body in the SCO. This council meets at the SCO summits, which are held each year in one of the member states' capital cities. Because of their government structure, the Prime Ministers of the parliamentary democracies of India and Pakistan attend the SCO Council of Heads of State summits, as their responsibilities are similar to the presidents of other SCO nations. The current Council of Heads of State consists of Xi Jinping, Narendra Modi, Kasim-Jomart Tokayev, Sadir Japarov, Shahbaz Sharif, Vladimir Putin, Emomali Rahman, Shavkat Mirziyoyev. The Council of Heads of Government is the second highest council in the organization. This council also holds annual summits, at which time members discuss issues of multilateral cooperation. The Council also approves the organization's budget. The current Council of Heads of Government consists of Li Keqiang, Narendra Modi, Ilhan Ismailov, Akhilbek Japarov, Shahbaz Sharif, Mikhail Mishustin, Kohar Rasulzoda, Abdullah Aripov. The Council of Foreign Ministers also holds regular meetings, where they discuss the current international situation and the SCO's interaction with other international organizations. The Council of National Coordinators coordinates the multilateral cooperation of member states within the framework of the SCO's charter. The Secretariat of the SCO, headquartered in Beijing, China, is the primary executive body of the organization. It serves to implement organizational decisions and decrees, drafts proposed documents, function as a document depository for the organization, arranges specific activities within the SCO framework, and promotes and disseminates information about the SCO. The SCO Secretary-General is elected to a 3-year term. The current Secretary-General is Zhang Ming of China, who assumed his office on January 1, 2022. The Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure Executive Committee, headquartered in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, is a permanent organ of the SCO which serves to promote cooperation of member states against the 3 evils of terrorism, separatism, and extremism. The director of SCO RAT's Executive Committee is elected to a 3-year term. The current director is Ruslan Mirzov of Uzbekistan, who assumed his office on January 1, 2022. Each member state also sends a permanent representative to RATS. The official languages of the SCO are Chinese and Russian. Membership. Member states. Observer states. Afghanistan received observer status at the 2012 SCO Summit in Beijing, China on June 7, 2012. No country has yet provided diplomatic recognition to the Taliban, and its representatives have not participated in SCO meetings so far. The Afghanistan head of state first attended the 2004 SCO Summit as a guest attendee. Belarus in 2008. Belarus applied for partner status in the organization and was promised Kazakhstan's support towards that goal. However, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Ivanov voiced doubt on the probability of Belarus membership, saying that Belarus was a purely European country. Despite this, at the 2009 SCO Summit in Ekaterinburg a decision was made to grant Belarus the dialogue partner status, which it officially received on April 28, 2010. After applying in 2012 for the observer status, Belarus received it in 2015. On June 14, 2022, Russia's special presidential representative on SCO affairs Bakhtiyor Kakimov confirmed that Belarus had applied for membership. Iran has been an observer state since 2005. On September 17, 2021, the SCO launched the procedures of Iran's accession to the SCO, which are expected to take a fair amount of time. September 15, 2022, Iran signed a Memorandum of Obligations to join the SCO at the 2022 summit, and will join the organization subject to its parliament ratifying a number of agreements. Mongolia became the first country to receive observer status at the 2004 Tashkent summit. Pakistan, India, and Iran received observer status at the 2005 SCO summit in Astana, Kazakhstan on July 5, 2005. Dialogue partners. The status of dialogue partner was created in 2008. Guest attendances. Multiple international organizations and one country are guest attendances to SCO summits. Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Commonwealth of Independent States. Turkmenistan. United Nations. Future membership possibilities. In 2010, the SCO has approved a procedure for admitting new members. Mongolia and Afghanistan, which have observer status, have stated their intention to become full SCO members. In 2011, Turkey applied for dialogue partner status, which it obtained in 2013. Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan has stated that he has discussed the possibility of abandoning Turkey's candidacy of accession to the European Union in return for full membership in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This was reinforced again on November 21, 2016, after the European Parliament voted unanimously to suspend accession negotiations with Turkey. 2 days later, on November 23, 2016, Turkey was granted the chairmanship of SCO Energy Club for the 2017 period. That made Turkey the first country to chair a club in the organization without full membership status. In 2022, Erdogan announced that Turkey would seek full SCO membership status. In 2011, Vietnam expressed interest in obtaining observer status. In 2012, Ukraine expressed interest in obtaining observer status. In 2012, Bangladesh applied for observer status. In 2015, Syria applied for dialogue partner status. In 2016, Israel applied for dialogue partner status. In 2019 or earlier, Iraq applied for dialogue partner status. Turkmenistan has previously declared itself a permanently neutral country, which was recognized by a resolution adopted by the United Nations General Assembly, thus precluding its membership in the SCO. Turkmenistan head of state has been attending SCO summits since 2007 as a guest attendee. Activities. Cooperation on security. The SCO is primarily centered on security-related concerns, often describing the main threats it confronts as being terrorism, separatism, and extremism. At SCO Summit, held in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, on 16-17 June 2004, the regional anti-terrorist structure was established. On April 21, 2006, the SCO announced plans to fight cross-border drug crimes under the counterterrorism rubric. In October 2007, the SCO signed an agreement with the Collective Security Treaty Organization, in the Tajik capital of Dushanbe, to broaden cooperation on issues such as security, crime, and drug trafficking. The organization is also redefining cyber warfare, saying that the dissemination of information harmful to the spiritual, moral, and cultural spheres of other states should be considered a security threat. An accord adopted in 2009 defined information war, in part, as an effort by a state to undermine another's political, economic, and social systems. The Diplomat reported in 2017 that SCO has foiled 600 terror plots and extradited 500 terrorists through RATS. The 36th meeting of the Council of the RATS decided to hold a joint anti-terror exercise, PABI Anti-Terror 2021, in Pakistan in 2021. Military activities. Over the past few years, the organization's activities have expanded to include increased military cooperation, intelligence sharing, and counterterrorism. Military exercises are regularly conducted among members to promote cooperation and coordination against terrorism and other external threats, and to maintain regional peace and stability. There have been a number of SCO joint military exercises. The first of these was held in 2003, with the first phase taking place in Kazakhstan and the second in China. Since then, China and Russia have teamed up for large-scale war games in Peace Mission 2005, Peace Mission 2007 and Peace Mission 2009, under the auspices of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. More than 4,000 soldiers participated at the joint military exercises in Peace Mission 2007, which took place in Chelyabinsk, Russia near the Ural Mountains, as was agreed upon in April 2006 at a meeting of SCO defense ministers. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Ivanov said that the exercises would be transparent and open to media and the public. Following the war games' successful completion, Russian officials began speaking of India joining such exercises in the future and the SCO taking on a military role. Peace Mission 2010, conducted 9-25 September at Kazakhstan's Matibulak training area, saw over 5,000 personnel from China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan conduct joint planning and operational maneuvers. The SCO has served as a platform for larger military announcements by members. During the 2007 War Games in Russia, with leaders of SCO member states in attendance including China's paramount leader Hu Jintao, Russia's President Vladimir Putin used the occasion to take advantage of a captive audience. Russian strategic bombers, he said, would resume regular long-range patrols for the first time since the Cold War. Starting today, such tours of duty will be conducted regularly and on the strategic scale, Putin said. Our pilots have been grounded for too long. They are happy to start a new life. On June 4, 2014, in the Tajik capital Dushanbe, the idea was brought up to merge the SCO with the Collective Security Treaty Organization. It is still being debated. At the same time, leaders of SCO states have repeatedly stated that the SCO is not a military alliance. Economic cooperation. Russia, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan are also members of the Eurasian Economic Union. A framework agreement to enhance economic cooperation was signed by the SCO member states on September 23, 2003. At the same meeting, the Premier of China, Wen Jiabao, proposed a long-term objective to establish a free trade area in the SCO, while other more immediate measures would be taken to improve the flow of goods in the region. A follow-up plan with 100 specific actions was signed 1 year later, on September 23, 2004. On October 26, 2005, during the Moscow summit of the SCO, the Secretary-General of the organization said that the SCO will prioritize joint energy projects, including in the oil and gas sector, the exploration of new hydrocarbon reserves, and joint use of water resources. The creation of the SCO Interbank Consortium was also agreed upon at that summit in order to fund future joint projects. The first meeting of the SCO Interbank Association was held in Beijing on 21–22 February 2006. On November 30, 2006, at the SCO, Results and Perspectives, an international conference held in Almaty, the representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry announced that Russia is developing plans for an SCO energy club. The need for this club was reiterated by Moscow at an SCO summit in November 2007. Other SCO members, however, have not committed themselves to the idea. However, during the 2008 summit it was stated that against the backdrop of a slowdown in the growth of world economy pursuing a responsible currency and financial policy, control over the capital flowing, ensuring food and energy security have been gaining special significance. At the 2007 SCO summit, Iranian Vice President Pervez Davudi addressed an initiative that had been garnering greater interest and assuming a heightened sense of urgency when he said, "The Shanghai Cooperation Organization is a good venue for designing a new banking system which is independent from international banking systems." The address by President Putin also included these comments. "We now clearly see the defectiveness of the monopoly in world finance and the policy of economic selfishness. To solve the current problem, Russia will take part in changing the global financial structures so that it will be able to guarantee stability and prosperity in the world and to ensure progress. The world is seeing the emergence of a qualitatively different geopolitical situation, with the emergence of new centers of economic growth and political influence. We will witness and take part in the transformation of the global and regional security and development architectures adapted to new realities of the 21st century, when stability and prosperity are becoming inseparable notions." On June 16, 2009, at the Ekaterinburg summit, China announced plans to provide a $10 billion loan to other SCO member states to shore up the struggling economies of its members amid the global financial crisis. The summit was held together with the first BRIC summit, and the China-Russia joint statement said that they want a bigger quota in the International Monetary Fund. During 2019 Bishkek summit, Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has suggested taking steps to trade in local currencies instead of US dollars and setting up financial institutions including an SCO bank. In June 2022, Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister for Economic Diplomacy Mehdi Safari has suggested creating a single SCO currency to facilitate trade and financial transactions among SCO members. During 1922 October 2022, Iran will host SCOSEX, an international conference and exhibition on economic cooperation opportunities available to the SCO member states and partners. Cultural cooperation. Cultural cooperation also occurs in the SCO framework. Culture ministers of the SCO met for the first time in Beijing on April 12, 2002, signing a joint statement for continued cooperation. The third meeting of the culture ministers took place in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, on 27–28 April 2006. An SCO Arts Festival and exhibition was held for the first time during the Astana Summit in 2005. Kazakhstan has also suggested an SCO folk dance festival to take place in 2008, in Astana. Summits. According to the charter of the SCO, summits of the Council of Heads of State shall be held annually at alternating venues. The locations of these summits follow the alphabetical order of the member state's name in Russian. The charter also dictates that the Council of Heads of Government shall meet annually in a place decided upon by the Council members. The Council of Foreign Ministers is supposed to hold a summit 1 month before the annual summit of heads of state. Extraordinary meetings of the Council of Foreign Ministers can be called by any 2 member states. List of summits. Analysis. Relations with the West. The United States applied for observer status in the SCO, but was rejected in 2005. At the Astana summit in July 2005, with the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq foreshadowing an indefinite presence of U.S. forces in Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan, the SCO requested the U.S. to set a clear timetable for withdrawing its troops from SCO member states. Shortly afterwards, Uzbekistan requested the U.S. to leave the K2 air base. A report in 2007 noted that the SCO has made no direct comments against the U.S. or its military presence in the region. However, some indirect statements at the past summits have been viewed by Western media outlets as thinly veiled swipes at Washington. In 2015, a European Parliament researcher expressed her view that institutional weaknesses, a lack of common financial funds for the implementation of joint projects, and conflicting national interests have prevented the SCO from achieving a higher level of regional cooperation. Geopolitical aspects. There have been many discussions and commentaries about the geopolitical nature of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Matthew Brummer, in the Journal of International Affairs, tracks the implications of SCO expansion into the Persian Gulf. Also, according to political scientist Thomas Ambrosio, one aim of SCO was to ensure that liberal democracy could not gain ground in these countries. Iranian writer Hamid Golpara had this to say on the topic. According to Zbigniew Brzezinski's theory, control of the Eurasian landmass is the key to global domination and control of Central Asia is the key to control of the Eurasian landmass. Russia and China have been paying attention to Brzezinski's theory since they formed the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in 2001, ostensibly to curb extremism in the region and enhance border security, but most probably with the real objective of counterbalancing the activities of the United States and the rest of the NATO alliance in Central Asia. At a 2005 summit in Kazakhstan, the SCO issued a declaration of heads of member states of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization which addressed their concerns and contained an elaboration of the organization's principles. It included, the heads of the member states point out that, against the backdrop of a contradictory process of globalization, multilateral cooperation, which is based on the principles of equal right and mutual respect, non-intervention in internal affairs of sovereign states, non-confrontational way of thinking and consecutive movement towards democratization of international relations, contributes to overall peace and security, and call upon the international community, irrespective of its differences in ideology and social structure, to form a new concept of security based on mutual trust, mutual benefit, equality, and interaction. In November 2005, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov reiterated that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is working to establish a rational and just world order and that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization provides us with a unique opportunity to take part in the process of forming a fundamentally new model of geopolitical integration. The People's Daily expressed the matter in these terms. The declaration points out that the SCO member countries have the ability and responsibility to safeguard the security of the Central Asian region, and calls on Western countries to leave Central Asia. That is the most noticeable signal given by the summit to the world. Human rights issues. In the December 2015 United Nations General Assembly vote, all 6 members of the SCO voted against the overall human rights situation in Iran, expressing concern not only about religious persecution but also the government's frequent use of the death penalty, failure to uphold legal due process, restrictions on freedom of expression, and ongoing discrimination against women and ethnic minorities. In July 2019, 5 of the 8 SCO members were among the 50 countries that backed China's policies in Xinjiang, signing a joint letter to the UNRWA commending China's remarkable achievements in the field of human rights, claiming now safety and security has returned to Xinjiang and the fundamental human rights of people of all ethnic groups there are safeguarded. By June 2020, 4 of the 8 SCO members were among the 53 countries that backed the Hong Kong national security law at the United Nations. Current leaders of member states. See also: Asia Cooperation Dialogue, Asia-Europe Meeting, Belt and Road Initiative, Collective Security Treaty Organization, Conference on Interaction and Confidence Building Measures in Asia, Eurasian Economic Union, Eurasianism, China-Russia Relations, Association of Southeast Asian Nations, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation.